You ever just find yourself wanting to kill 8,193 moss giants without a cannon? Yeah, me neither. Meet Mr. Once, my once-in-a-lifetime Ironman account. He's got big dreams of leveling his skills, defeating iconic bosses, and collecting all of RuneScape's best gear. However, for Mr. Once, those dreams are far easier said than done. This is the story of that journey. Last time on the adventures of Mr. Once, I got PK'd. A lot. I cooked up the lower level fish for my Temp Daddy grind, did some thieving, and after some questing began grinding moss giants with the goal of obtaining as many mossy keys as possible. So, here I am after obtaining the last mossy key I'm going to get on this account. I've been killing them in the wilderness ever since the last video, and I'm just ready to move on at this point. I unfortunately didn't get the Giant Champion scroll, but the main focus here was the mossy keys. The scroll can be obtained later on from some of the other giants in the game, so I'm not too worried about it. Let's take a closer look at the actual progress made from this grind. Since I got PK'd several times during the grind, I lost a few items, but luckily it wasn't nearly as bad as the zombie scroll grind. I ended up with 17 long bones, 2 curved bones, which are slightly more rare than the Giant Champion scroll I might add, nearly 2,000 big bones, which will come in handy shortly, 304 giant heads for future prayer training, as well as upping my Graardor and Toadflax seeds to 120 and 44 respectively. And finally, I ended up with 69 keys. Nice! Not a bad haul at all. I have to say that I'm pretty happy with those results. So after about 100 hours of moss giants, it's time to take care of one of the biggest shortcomings on this account at the moment: prayer. And so I headed to the Chaos Temple out in the wilderness to get the most bang for my buck out of those big bones. I really needed overhead prayers for the coming grinds, so that was the big focus here. However, I think all of the time spent in the wilderness recently had started to get to me, because I started picking fights with the PKers. Some of them saw me and halfway through stopped killing me since they noticed I had no more bones, but I wasn't going to let them off that easy. Yeah, I really need to do some non-wilderness grinds for a while. I was itching to do some quests at this point, but I had one more grind to do before I could storm through those quests. Magic. So I bought a bunch of runes in Varrock, and went to the rock crabs in Frimi. I needed 59 magic to do one of the quests on my list, so it was time to AFK. After that, I, made a mine shield? I don't know. Became a one-man factory workforce. Took a trip to Texas where everything from the people to the swords was much bigger. Made a fake head for a headless bear to appease the village idiot. Spent like 90 minutes walking around Yanil and the ogre. Well, I wouldn't call it a village. It's kind of a shithole. Became a hero, which took me a total of 10 minutes. Unlocked my current best in slot gloves, the cooking gauntlets. Became Mr. Once, Esquire. Monkeyed around, literally. And finally, became a Viking. Now, some of you who know the game may be asking yourselves, Mr. Once, what about one small favor? That's a necessary requirement for King's Ransom. Well, I did that one too. However, it deserves special mention here for 2 reasons. One, because a clanmate decided to take time from their grinds and walk the entire quest with me. And trust me when I say it was a lot of walking. So shout out to Mari for keeping me company on this 2-hour trek across the whole damn country. And the second reason is because this is the worst quest in the entire game. Change my mind. Go ahead. It's the worst one. Afterwards, I went out to the rogues in the wildy to get some weapon poison so I could bravely fight the Knights of Camelot and get that sweet, sweet XP drop. Whew, that was a lot of questing, especially when you don't have any stamina replenishing items. Speaking of stamina replenishing items, I then grabbed myself a Red Bull and prepared to do something so awful that it made me want to quit playing Mr. Once forever. You see, in the last episode I talked about a very small mistake I made with my 99 cooking calcs. I was going to be about 2.7 million XP off of 99, and I really wanted to get it done. So I went searching on the wiki for my solution. I didn't have it in me to do another 100-hour grind this time, so the only thing I could come up with was buying the supplies from Rufus's Meat Emporium. You see, Rufus here sells trout, pike, and salmon for pretty cheap prices. The only problem is that to get the XP that I needed, I was going to need about 35,000 fish in total. And since Rufus only sells 5 of each fish at a time, I was going to have to world hop about 2,300 times to get those supplies. So I got to work. Yeah, you didn't think I was actually going to do that, did you? There was no way in hell I was going to spend 10 hours hopping worlds for trout and pike. I hopped until I got about 1,000 pike and salmon. And after running the numbers a few times, I figured this was enough to get me 4 or so levels, and thus heavily increase my cooking success rate on the 20,000 bass I would be doing after, as well as the swordies and sharks that would come as well. Now before we jump into the montage you know is coming, make sure to press the like button if you're enjoying the video so far. Every like equals 1 date with Gertrude, so help a dude out. So I started this grind at 64 cooking, and the plan was pretty simple. By cooking all the newly bought trout, pike, and salmon, as well as the lobbies I got from Temp Daddy, I would get a few easy levels and therefore burn less of the bass. So here's level 70. Level 75, level 80, level 85. Now by burning less of the bass, I figured I would have just enough fish to get to level 89, the level at which I would have a 100% chance of cooking my sharks, which worked out pretty flawlessly, as you can see. Except for somehow forgetting my cooking gauntlets, causing me to burn 1 lone shark. Here's level 92. You know, half of 99. 31 levels later, I reached 95, the last level I was going to get here. I decided to wrap things up after cooking these sea turtles, and ended up about 40,000 experience away from 96 cooking. I'm saving the mantas for a bit later, so that 96 will probably come from some questing in the very near future. With enough food to pound Temp Daddy into oblivion for another 125 hours, Mr. Once was ready to take on his first boss. It's not really much of a boss, more like an overgrown moss giant, but nonetheless, it was time. Now this is a quick reminder that Mr. Once is doing 8 episodes of bossing starting right now. 5 of the bosses have already been picked by me, but the 3 question mark slots are on here for you, the viewers, to pick for me. Comment down below which bosses you want me to take on, and whatever gets the most votes will be the ones that I do. With that out of the way, Mr. Once had a date to 69 at Big Mossy MILF. Armed with his new gear upgrades and an endless supply of food, it was time to put it to the test. Without access to prayer pots of any kind, I was going to have to use Ferox Enclave and the Lumpy Church to replenish for each trip. However, Bryophyta is such an easy boss that I really didn't need to use prayer to fight her, and I just started using it to deflect a bit of the magic damage while fighting her stupid little growths. Obviously, the item I'm looking for here is the Bryophyta's Essence, an almost 8 mil drop. However, there is always the chance that I get a giant champion scroll from her as well. Right. After about 5 or so kills, I had done all the combat tasks here, and Mr. Ones finally got his first tier of combat tasks out of the way. And then something really strange happened. Jagex messed up the game with DT2 and had to do an extra system update to fix things. Just kidding, that's not strange at all, that's rather normal nowadays. Stupid growths. My god, you're so annoying! Alright, that's another kill down, and oh my god! Yes! Yes, I got it! I freaking got it! Let's go! Let's go, yes! That's right, Mr. Ones finally got some good RNG, and at 41 KC earned himself some of the Mossy Milk's essence. It's a good thing too, because there was nothing really noteworthy that happened to Brio besides this drop, of course. Now that I'm finished, we can take a quick look at the loot. Again, there's not really much to speak of besides the Brio's essence here. Noteworthy may be that my 69 keys turned into 77 KC since I got 9 key drops from the mill for herself. Of course, 69 plus 9 is 78. Yeah, I actually had to tele out of my first attempt on the free-to-play servers while going for the combat task, since for some reason bass aren't free-to-play food, and I couldn't heal. With my time at the Big Bad Mossy Milk over, it was time to get to work on something I've been saving up for since episode 1. Herblore. With all these seeds saved up, I'm gonna have all the weeds when I'm done. Well, that is gonna be it for today, everyone. If you enjoyed, don't forget to subscribe so that you don't miss the next episode. And don't forget to comment down below which boss or bosses you want Mr. Ones to fight in the coming episodes. Goodbye.